माइक लगाना है, कब लगाएं? माइक लगाना है, अभी लगा दे,
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Delhi campus, it is my pleasure and honor to welcome Director General NIT, Ms. Tanu Kashyap, students and faculty of all campuses of NIT to this masterclass on luxury branding. When I heard that I had to do the kind of introduction to this, read up a little bit. So some figures before we begin. India's luxury market projected at 85 to 90 billion, and that's a billion with a B, US dollars by 2030. That's a huge market. And a large part of the growth of this market is based on branding, on positioning, on identity creation, particularly of fashion brands. Our speaker for today is a master in these areas. It is a pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Mr. Anirudh Birla, Chief Brand Officer of AMPM, one of India's most distinctive luxury fashion houses. An alumnus of Mayo College Ajmer and a graduate of business from University of London, Anirudh began his journey in fashion and branding in 2007 when he took on the role of building marketing, communication, and PR strategy for two celebrated Indian fashion brands, Anju Modi and AMPM, each known for their unique design language and philosophy. Remember, we are talking about a time when luxury fashion was not a really recognized market segment, and Anirudh was one of the very few in this country trying to create the strength of this segment. Following his work in shaping brand narratives and positioning, he went on to become partner and director at AMPM, where he led business development and retail expansion. Working closely with designers Ankur and Priyanka Modi, he played a key role in the brand's growth across India's luxury markets and its early move into digital retail. In the years since, AMPM has undergone a significant reimagining, emerging as one of the country's most respected contemporary luxury brands with a strong presence not only across India but also in the Middle East. Beyond the world of fashion and business, Anirudh is also deeply engaged in the study of consciousness, bringing a unique interdisciplinary perspective to conversations around creativity, identity, and human behavior. Today, he joins us to share his insights and experiences. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Anirudh Birla. I'll request Joint Director Delhi to kindly escort our Director General, Ms. Tanu Kashyap, and our guest on the stage.
Thank you, Bhavna. Good afternoon. Too much of lunch? Sleepy? No? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I need a mic for my voice to reach you. Your voice should reach me back without the mic. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Better. Anirudh is doing this for the first time. And because he's doing this because I insisted and insisted and insisted that he comes to the campus. And thank you for keeping my pride and Meri Sharam and Meri Lash that you agreed to come to the campus after such a lot of insistence. But I'm so happy and so glad and so proud that Anirudh is here with us today. There was a short introduction that Bhavna did give about him, and you will listen and hear him when he speaks, and then the session begins. But I would really urge each one of you to fire any questions that you have after he's spoken to him. He is more like you than like us and the people in the front. So I'm sure you'll be able to identify and relate with him better. And the idea of having someone like him amongst all of you is to understand what you should expect moving out from the, once you've graduated and once you've moved out into the world, into the real world, as he said. And I'm sure that you will learn a bit, enrich yourselves from the interaction today, and I'm sure that Anirudh will be bringing a lot of himself into today's session. And I'm very excited. I hope all of you are too. Sona nahi hai kisi ne beech mein. Please don't go off to sleep. How many of you knew about AM PM before you knew about the session? I know you would like to see the hands. जबरदस्ती तो आपको ही चेक कराएगा ताकि पढ़ लो because the person is coming to speak to you. No? Okay, that's good to know. That's good to see. I would also request Anirudh, if you can also, while you're speaking, share a little about the journey of how the brand imaging changed, and that, of course, is the journey of the brand and the journey of people in the brand, because that is something which will give you insights into how any brand or any fashion name or house is not just a name that you see. It's the people who make them. And what you see outside as a logo or as the clothes is actually how, people behind or who are making it. So I think that will really, I hope it comes out while you're talking. Um, looking forward to a session where I hope the questions don't stop. That's what I expect, and I'm sure even the faculty might want to just fire in if you want to. I'm really happy that you are here. Thank you for being with us. I hope to enjoy this. I hope all of us enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. May I request Joint Director Sir to kindly escort our guest on the stage. Requesting JD Sir to kindly welcome both our guests with a small token, please. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Taking the talk forward, I would invite on stage Dr. Jasmine Dixit. Dr. Dixit is an associate professor in the management department in New Delhi, and one of her areas of specialization and teaching is luxury marketing. So Dr. Dixit will be the anchor of the masterclass today. Welcome, Jasmine, and over to you.
Introduction. And a very warm welcome to you, Mr. Anirudh. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, and I would like to begin with thanking Tanu. Of course, she's very dear to me. She's like a sister, and like every sibling, I didn't want to do what she was asking me to do. But somehow she has managed to force me into doing this. And it's not that I was too busy or anything, so please don't think that I was being egoistic or this. I was just very reluctant. Like she said, I've not done it before really, but I was very reluctant because I was not sure what I can add to your lives in the 2 hours that you're giving this. But eventually she managed to tell me a little bit about myself, so I was like, okay, maybe I'll give it a shot. So thank you for that. And thank you so much to the faculty for just arranging this whole thing. It's already amazing to see so many faces here. And then, of course, thank you, all of you, for showing up. And I really hope we enjoy this session together. It's not a one-way dialogue, so I hope all of you have not only questions, but something to contribute as and when you like. And thank you for doing this with me.
The pleasure is all ours. Thank you for offering to come here and being a part of this. This is really nice. When I was hearing your introduction by Professor Bhavna, I happened to notice that you have a general management degree and you chose fashion industry to be your career.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know more about it. It's very intriguing.
So right off the bat, I think we'll start with the controversy then. How this happened was pure nepotism. So, don't judge me, guys. I live in India. And this was a good 20 years ago. So I did my BSc in management. I went to London School of Economics. I did an external program. People who, of course, a lot of you mostly don't know me. I'm not a very studious person, neither very hardworking, very average at everything, including my studies back then. So I didn't really make an effort to study anything and didn't go to I turned to management studies. I think I just sort of stumbled into a management program at LSE. Post that, like I said, because I didn't really have a clear vision, I come from a business family. So my vision was that okay, I'll just eventually end up either joining my dad or that he set something up for me. But just at the moment I was going through that, and I said I didn't really want to work with him. I did go back. I'm from Kanpur. By the way, if anybody's from Kanpur, hi. Oh yeah, just one person. Oh, a few more. So I think there are a few really good people in fashion from Kanpur. So one, of course, me, and two, my sister Priyanka. So AMPN
Yeah,
is Kanpur and Priyanka, and Priyanka is my sister, and Kanpur is my brother-in-law. And there's I think Rahul Mishra is also from Kanpur. And so we've had a chat once or twice about Kanpur. So anyway. But so I went back to Kanpur, actually studied here and then I went back. And of course, it was a different world. It was like a resort town compared to Delhi, which basically means that you just chill, you go to office at 11, come back at 4. I very quickly realized in a few months that okay, that's probably not cut out for a 23-year-old or 22-year-old at the time. And so, in a very normal, usual conversation with my sister over the phone, she just suggested that, okay, if you're not really liking what you're doing with that, why don't you come and join AMPM? Because AMPM was just, a small budding company at that time. I think she started for about 5 years since that point. So 2002 they started and this was 2007, I'm younger about. But 2007 is when, so the moment she asked me, I just said, yeah, because I love glamour. Like a lot of people here who come to fashion because of the glamour. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is all going to be fashion shows and great clothes and all the good looking models and just generally how glamour is that great thing. So that's what I thought. Lots of travel, everything that I like. So I just quickly jumped on that. Overnight I packed my bags, come to Delhi to work with the AMPM, and that's how AMPM began. And the thing with the Anju Modi and AMPM simultaneously is that something that you asked me.
Yeah, you can go ahead. That was my next question. Absolutely.
Okay. So for people who are wondering, basically, when I joined AMPM, my sister is my uncle, and uncle's mother is Anju Modi. So how many of you know about Anju Modi? More than you? So Anju Modi is a couturier. She's been in the business for over 35 years. She's quite legendary, so to speak. And she's done. Okay, let me ask you the other way. How many of you have seen Ram Leela or Bajra Pakistan?
Everybody.
So the costumes that you're seeing on Deepika and Priyanka are all Anju Modi. So when I, of course, had come in, it was 2007. She had not done those movies at that point. So she was also running a brand, and Emily was, of course, also there. And because the companies were so small at that point, and they didn't really have a marketing department at all. And I was this one person that had just showed up, basically, and washed up to Delhi. And so they thought that maybe I was too much for maybe one company to hire, so the two people hired me. And so we were just home brands that pretty much pitched in to the tiny salary that I was getting at the time. And so I started there because I had no experience. So that's how the began.
But it must have been very challenging to see two very different brands with different brand language and philosophies. And how did you manage to sort of traverse that difficult path?
So, this has been quite a journey. So if I tell you that I was very clear on day one that these two are distinct and they need to be handled distinctly, I don't think I was that aware of it back then.
Okay.
I was not aware that I was aware. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's taken a good 18 years or 15 years to get to that awareness that these are two very distinct brands that need a very distinct, nuanced handling. At that time, I was 23, so I had my own ideas. I basically thought that, and at that time, actually, we didn't have social media. So, for all of you people, that's very difficult to imagine, but imagine a world without social media, right? And so, how do you make a brand? How do you communicate? Was very different. There were magazines. Magazines actually used to be read that time. There were advertisements that used to take out in magazines. There were newspapers. There was traditional PR, which is still very much in business, but it's complete strategy and a full overhauling of that. But so when I came in, I just thought that okay, for Anju Modi, because she was a certain way, I realized very quickly that fashion at that time in India was all about couture or bridal, so to speak. And all the top designers, etc., were mostly in that direction. There were very few, maybe a Manish Arora, who was, of course, just a genius. And but other than him, there were very few who were doing Western or prep. And so for Anju Modi, I think that was a much clearer path. I think it was just basically making sure that she gets the right shows, she is on the right platforms, she's collaborating with the right celebrities. That in India is sort of a shortcut. Not always necessarily good for every brand, but for her, I think that was the right strategy. And that's what we did. We very quickly sort of got into getting her to realize that that is something that she needs to do. And I just pushed her, and thankfully she listened to me, because a lot of people don't listen to 23-year-olds. But she did listen to me. She was a great partner. And so we built Anju Modi from there. It's very difficult for people to understand that Anju Modi wasn't that big a brand at that point as it is today.
Absolutely.
She was basically running a design outfit, but with no marketing really. It was just word of mouth.
Right.
But then when I got in, we realized that okay, there are things that we can do to just very quickly get the attention. So Anju Modi required a different hand. With the MPM, it was difficult. Like I said, like all siblings, whatever I suggested, my sister didn't listen. But frankly, there were some things that she listened to selectively, and some things she didn't listen to. And I think together we at least started off with a different handling. So AMPM was actually more difficult for me than Anju Modi was. There was no playbook for AMPM. There was no playbook for luxury ready to wear brands. And even though my sister had a vision, but it was very difficult for her to articulate that in the way that is understandable by everybody, including me. So it took us time. With AMPM, it took us time. AMPM is a very quiet, nuanced brand. And so it took us time from there on. We tried everything. We tried whatever we could. But some things worked, some things didn't work. And I'll tell you more about it as we go along.
This is so interesting. And, a brother-sister relationship is such that I think all of us catch it, the dynamics around it, right? So we totally get it. Now, given all that background, how difficult was it for you to position AMPM to the luxury Indian market when generally the market tends to be a little bit more bent towards the international labels?
So I think in the first few years, maybe over a decade of AMPM, we did sort of, I won't say struggle, but I would say that it took us time to understand how to position ourselves. So we got positioned pretty much on our own. Like as in we were there, we just thought that, okay, because we're luxury, so we should be in certain places, maybe in the right malls, in the right stores, maybe in the right fashion shows or fashion weeks. But we didn't do much else, or we were not 100% sure of how to break that barrier for a press label to be recognized as luxury instead of international labels. There was always this, actually there is still, sadly, always this Indian mindset कि बाहर का है तो अच्छा है.
Absolutely.
और बाहर का है तो मैं पैसे दूंगी और यहाँ का है तो पैसे नहीं देंगे.
Absolutely.
So I think, but I would give credit always to the audience and the customer, and I feel that they're quite intelligent in understanding the value that they're getting. So when I say value, I just don't mean price. I also mean what they're getting apart from the product too. So I feel that the problem with AMPM or any brand like AMPM at that time was that we weren't branding ourselves enough. We weren't telling our stories properly or loud enough.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that also came from the fact that, the industry was small, the businesses weren't too big. We only had certain margins to play with. And you have to put in a lot of even money to make sure that there's, that storytell is of that standard that you would want it to be.
Absolutely.
So there are a few factors and we had to overcome over the years. Of course, one of the things that we always stood by though was that we made sure that we built our business first. And we gave it probably a little more importance than we did to just being highlighted as designers. So a lot of people, a lot of brands, I have a lot of friends in the industry. Over the years, these relationships have been built. And one of the things that they used to ask us was, how are you guys opening so many stores? How are you building the business? And the question that they didn't say was, how are you doing it without being so loud? or too quiet with your marketing or with your branding? But the truth was that because we were just fully focused on that, we were focusing on making sure that we were making product which actually resonated with a larger customer base. And it wasn't just restricted to 3 people from South Delhi who just come and maybe shop. So we built the business to sustain itself first, and then we started investing more in actually building out the brand. Even for international brands, if you see actually that most of the international brands that you all know today have been around for over 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
So it takes time.
Yeah.
But now with the advent of social media, everything goes faster.
Yeah.
And whoever has gotten onto that ride is definitely doing much better.
Yeah. And very interestingly, that traditionally India is known to have brands which were very rich in embroideries. So for us, looking at anything that was haute couture was something that was more readily consumed, or more accepted. And when you have a brand like AMPM, which doesn't have embroideries per se, you suddenly have done something remarkable and moved in a direction where you have given a whole lot of new perspective to customers and, of course, to the voice that comes from India in the form of the brand AMPM. So well done there. As we progress, I'd like to know a little more about how you've been able to maintain the consistency over the various touch points for AMPM. So, your brand expression, your visual, your verbal, and your experience that you give to your customer. So I think this is something that I have as a customer of AMPM felt, and I feel this is very remarkable that you have done. So, if you could enlighten all of us with it.
See, I like you more already because I love my customers. So now that you told me you're a customer, this interview will go very differently. So, no. So,
I placed it well, right?
Yeah. So actually, to answer this question, I'll have to give you all a little context on what happened with AMPM, and something actually quite fundamental changed in 2021.
Right.
So we launched in 2002, and 17 years down, around 2019, we actually decided to do something a little dramatic.
Yeah.
So around 2017, we realized that Priyanka, who's the creative director at AMPM, she's always been, she's the creative force behind it, she's the genesis of it. Ankur and I are sidekicks. We basically are doing what's required to be done to push.
I love the humor. I really love the humor.
No, it's not humorous. That's the truth. So we basically realized that Priyanka wasn't happy with where AMPM had gotten to.
Yeah.
So it had been about 17 odd years, and like I said, the Indian industry for fashion was very different at that time. It started with there were maybe a handful of designers, and the industry was nascent.
Yeah.
And then very quickly, of course, it grew. Fashion weeks came in, that happened. Social media came in, that was a big disruptor. Brands, of course, took time. We didn't realize the power of social media on day one.
Yeah.
A lot of people did, a lot of people didn't. But by 2017, what happened was because of that, like I said, like Priyanka wasn't able to articulate fully what is it that her vision clearly was.
Right.
She knew it. She could articulate it for everybody else. That is a problem.
Yeah.
Now, because of that, the other people and companies and organizations and brands, like Tanu rightly said, are built by people. And so when the other people are on a different alignment than you are, or the creative director is, you end up actually doing things which are probably not all fully aligned with the brand.
Right.
And so we kept growing. The business wasn't affected really. Actually, it was a very healthy growing business. But she wasn't happy with the creative direction that AMPM was taking. Now that became an issue because if the genesis of the brand and the creative director isn't happy with what's going on, then you would really have to sit back and think of how to correct that situation. Otherwise, the brand will die.
Absolutely.
So we actually got together, and sometimes the universe does come together. It's a very cheesy line, but it's true. When you want something, the universe kind of provides it for you. And at that time, we found mentors, we found a conscious path, which of course we speak about as we go along. But few things happened, and we actually Tanu's husband happened. So he got introduced to us. We didn't know each other from back when, and he got introduced to us. And he is this geek. He is an IITian. Then he went to Harvard. He has nothing to do with fashion. Actually, if you actually see him, you'll know that he has nothing to do with fashion. So he got introduced to us, and our mentor asked him to tell us what is it that we are not getting about ourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes that outside perspective just sort of sets you right. So he came in, he did a bit of research, he spoke to people around, spoke to our team, spoke to us, and basically deep dived and realized that we were a luxury brand just not behaving like luxury. So we were doing everything that a luxury brand does when it comes to product and design and process, but we are not presenting ourselves as luxury. And that realization was the start of many realizations. We realized that we wanted to do a really big overhaul. And the pandemic, I hate to say it, but came like a silver lining for us because we were locked in, we had nothing to do, so we were on online calls for hours on end, and basically we were just manifesting and discussing and ideating and strategizing a new brand. So people didn't realize fully then that we had nearly shut down the EMPM that existed at the time. And we basically, when I say shut down, I mean very consciously shut it down. Not because we were not making money or needed to shut it down. But very consciously we realized that we had to change so much about the version that we were in, the 1.0 version that we were in, that for the 2.0 we needed to completely, kind of set this aside.
Absolutely.
And so in 2020, that journey began. We then very quickly realized, because it had been a few years, we knew how to work this and we kind of had an idea. And so we went to Wyden Kennedy. That's a creative agency. It's based out of New York, but it has offices in India and other high places. They are the ones who actually conceptualized Nike.
Wow.
So everybody was Nike. And so they do creative design, all the ads that you see on Nike, all the communication that you see on Nike is all Wyden Kennedy. Then, of course, they also have Indigo moved over to home. So you can actually love the way Indigo did the communication. So we were like, who's the company that's done this for Indigo and we want to find them? So we actually, the two brands that we love, Nike and Indigo communication, we just found that and we kind of went with them. They, of course, helped us articulate what is it that the vision was.
Right.
And of course, it was a smaller exercise, it was just a few months, but we got a lot of clarity. And then our internal team became so robust with that thought, with that clarity, with the cohort that was now speaking, that we had touched finally. From there is the entire 2.0 that has come up. So what you see today when you go to Instagram, when you go to our website or you go to our stores, it's all that 2.0. You won't even find a trace of 1.0 anywhere on our
Yeah.
So basically finding that expression was most important. And it was not finding team expression, it was finding our expression. And when I say our, I mean Priyanka's expression. And so it was a very consciously done inward exercise.
Right.
So we never went anywhere out there to get inspiration from them, but everything is inward. We just didn't feel confident enough earlier to express that.
Right.
Or she didn't think people were understanding what she was saying.
Right.
When that barrier went away, everything hit them. So from that, breaking of that barrier, from that core came everything that we see now.
That was such a fantastic rebranding exercise that you guys conducted. It is phenomenal. For those who have followed the brand, can vouch for it. And while we are at rebranding, I want to talk about your stores. It is truly an immersive and sensorial design one feels when you go to an AMPM store, especially your flagship store at DLF Emporio. I think it's phenomenal and one of the best, I can safely say, in the country that we have. It's really nice the way it is done, the space management and the flow, the color blocking. Each one of them, I would request all of you to go have a look, because it indeed is one of the finest stores you will find of a retail chain in India. Given all that as a background, it also leads us to a marketing question, that how do you look at retail as and retail operations and stores as a place as just a sales channel or something more that you want to communicate. So how did that happen? Because that was also a phenomenal exercise that you took under your wing with the rebranding.
Thank you for asking that. Actually, that's very, it has great context behind it. So, 2019, we had 15 stores across 7 cities.
Right.
And like I told you, business wasn't the problem. To 2020, when we decided to rebrand, we realized very quickly that we have to change everything about ourselves, including the store designs. So even in the past, when we were building these 15 stores, we had a few designers work with us, interior designers. We had tried a few different kind of concepts to see where we land, what we were doing. We were trying to evolve them, piecemeal.
Of course.
And so on. But we never got to where we wanted to get to. And then that obviously reflected in the entire brand itself. So when we did the rebrand, one of the main key things that we wanted to do was build out the store or any retail touch point in a way that actually only speaks brand. And for the first time, because we had gone completely bonkers, shutting this entire 1.0 down and not bothering about where the next dime will come from or the next sale will come from. We just became fearless. And from that fearlessness came this vision for the store. So in the time when people were actually downsizing, we were upsizing. So what we did was that we shut 12 of our 15 stores.
Wow.
But for Emporio, we actually doubled our size.
Yeah.
So we had been in that same location for nearly 10 years before that. We had a 1,000 square feet store. 900 square feet store.
Yeah.
And very luckily for us, we found that the next door brand was leaving. And so Emporio kind of offered us that space, and we would actually take it because in our vision now, we wanted space. We wanted bigger stores. We were very clear that we wanted, So when we got that space, again, pandemic was the silver lining. So we got 6 months to actually first put thought to what is that space supposed to be. Because what happens most times when you're building out a store is that you're in the rush to build it out. You only get about 3 months as tenant period, and you don't want to spend on rent while you're building out the store. So thankfully we got more time, and we already started meeting on that process. We were very clear that the store has to speak the brand. That the store has to be an absolute seamless extension of the brand. If the store can't say who we are, then we fail. And in Priyanka's words, because her standards and expectations are always higher, she said if the person from the outside cannot tell whether they want to get into the store or not, they don't get a sense of what the store is or what the brand is, then we get failed. So we had to work with that in mind. I remember the first meeting with our interior person. There were 3 of us, and it was an afternoon. And I know Tanu asked all of you to be awake for this, but I'm notorious for sleeping anywhere, and especially after lunch. so if there are people I can see who are snoozing, I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm doing guys. But I remember this meeting we spent, I think so there were 3 of us, and Priyanka, as always, was over prepared. She had mood boards after mood boards after mood boards, and for the designer, the interior designer has to do their job, but Priyanka had already come prepared. And so I thought that the best thing that I could do was actually sleep in the meeting. Because if I was awake, I would have my opinion, and that would dilute her vision. So I actually removed myself from the meeting and actually slept on the sofa close by. Too much disdain from my sister that how dare you sleep whilst the meeting on, and such an important meeting and you're doing this and all that. But I resolutely shut my eyes and stuff. While she and the Indian designer were working out, okay, they were shortlisting for the course. Now, 2 hours later, when I woke up, I said, okay, so we have a shortlist, and they were like, okay, yeah, fine. And when she showed it to me, I was like, I just kept looking because I thought it was a joke. There was just one blank wall.
Oh.
So the reference for the store was the blank wall. And there was just some light streaming across that wall. That's it. That was the reference.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, but like, what is this? so then, of course, she started speaking. So what she realized was what she wanted was just space, and she wanted blankness, and she wanted a sense of non-clutter. She wanted minimalism, and she just wanted natural light streaming into the store. So to the point that we of course developed it from there, and then the only thing that I added to that story was basically I realized that what her reference was her own home.
Oh.
And because I know her, so I know that she loves hosting people. And I told her, I said, okay, so then why don't we build it out like your home? Like it's as if you're inviting people. She didn't want the store to feel like a store. She didn't want it to be transactional at all. She wanted it to be this warm experience, this warm embrace that when you come into the store, you feel like you've invited her, you feel loved, you feel connected, and that you can decompress. So, for example, we've gone through every store in the mall. Every store will try and push something at you to buy. Or that you will go into the store and you'll see like 100 lehengas and you'll be like, okay, this is essentially what's going on. Like you said, you don't do embroidery, so that doesn't happen. But what she wanted was the exact opposite. She wanted that when people come in, they're like, okay, let me take a breath. Let me just sit, let me have a coffee, let me just have a chat with whoever is in the store, let me enjoy the music. There is no rush to buy anything. So she wanted to curate this amazing experience with smell, with sound, with touch, with materiality, with visuals. So it was every little thing that you were seeing in the store, including the plant and the water and the 5 elements. All of that had been thought through before. All of that is in the brand DNA. It's not that just because हमने एक store बनाना था तो हमने अभी design करके store बना दिया. All our stores look same or similar.
Wow.
They come from the same story. So where we were at 800 square feet, we were hanging about 120 garments. And that was the norm. People used to ask us the per square foot आप कितना डालते हो कपड़ा. So okay, they're okay. And used to do say X amount of sales. And I remember we built this out. उस समय तो हम बहुत careless थे, सब कुछ बना दिया, सब कर दिया, and we hired one man because we had doubled the size of the store, but we had half the hanging. We got it down to 60 garments. That we double the store, we would in about 1700 square feet, we only hang 60 garments and some items.
Right.
So of course, Anirudh thought we gone crazy. He's a finance guy. We thought that okay, this is nuts. We were like, okay, but wait a minute. And the music kicked in. Now, I remember the day before we opened the store, I did put it. So it was the first one that opened after the pandemic, after the event. So we only kept 3. We kept Emporio, we kept Khan Market, and we kept Kilana. And we kept them because we had to keep the lights on. So we kept these 3. But Emporio was one that we came out with the first. And I remember Priyanka and I standing outside the store before it opened, just the previous day, and she's like, what if it doesn't work? And I'm like, कुछ और करने के लिए. So the entire thought was कि इस पे तो हम यही कर सकते. This is the best that we could have done. And now there were no regrets, there were no compromises we had made before, nothing.
Yeah.
Kid you not, 2 months later, we had tripled our sales.
Wow.
doubled our sales, halved our revenue.
Excellent.
So these numbers speak for themselves because when people were coming in, they were experiencing the brand in a completely different manner. I'm not saying this because it's my store or my brand, but truth be told, from that day on, my store manager, my store staff and portfolio was so pissed because they're like, हाँ customers से ज़्यादा architects आते हैं, architects से ज़्यादा architectural students आते हैं, ये देखते हैं कि ये store बनाया किसने. So they're constantly just wondering किसको बेचना है कि बेचना है, like, you know, those poor things. But I feel that that is a big win. And so hence we just continue from there. We're opening one in Bombay in April, I think, in Talagoda. And I hope that it does justice to the brand.
Congratulations on that one and all the best. We are always talking about customer engagement, experiential marketing. I think it all starts there. That's your first touch point. And if you do it right, absolutely you can ask for any price. So it does not matter. It's the setting of the image that builds everything around it. And for luxury, the store, speaks the whole narration around the brand and its story. So
on that, basically, I'll give you an example of storytelling. So when of course we made the store, and that is the story unto itself. But like you're saying marketing, and then there's social media, and then you get people, and not everybody will show up in a physical store. It's not possible.
Right.
But you can reach a lot more people now because you have all of these digital platforms. How to use them and how to actually tell your story, of course, also changed in our time. So earlier we would do the usual campaigns, we would do, we would look at imagery as just, okay, this is something beautiful that we want to show. So we want to show this beautiful image. But now, with the advent of social media, there's beautiful images everywhere.
Right.
Now it's become about story. Now it's become about telling me about who you are, what your thought behind this is, what's your inspiration. But tell it to me in 5 seconds. Or tell it to me in like 15 seconds. Because anything more than that, you've already swiped. You've already sort of scrolled down.
Right.
So we, of course, started thinking about how do we tell our story more beautiful. So I'll give you one example. We came up with this property called AM to the end. And it's a play for the AM. Because a lot of customers of ours would come to us and tell us, I can just wear clothes to the office, and then I can just, put on a little bit of jewelry, and then I'm out for dinner, and I can just sort of, it's very versatile.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we just picked up on that because that was just something that we heard like for years on end. Not just after the event, this was even something that people hear back in the 1.0. So from there we took that, okay, what if we just showed how people can wear AMPM through the day?
Wow.
And that was why we called AM to PM. So the concept was that we show the day of a woman from AM to PM. So actually, what I originally wanted to do, which nobody agreed to, was that I wanted to take the camera and actually start with somebody getting out of bed. Like actually, but the people that we work with were like, yeah, thanks, but so we just basically started when they got ready. So maybe like an 8 o'clock. Now we kept building on that expression, and then we realized that okay, who is it that will be interesting enough to see like a whole day, right? And who do we follow?
Yeah.
And then we realized that okay, third is where we can go for more. I wouldn't say virality, but for more interest and for more audience, we actually went to a little bit of celebrity zone, which otherwise they've been actually avoided for many years.
Yeah.
So the first one was Louise Ponga.
Right.
So she's a dear friend. Louise Ponga, if you don't know, is the Oscar-winning producer from India, twice over.
Yes.
And so she's a dear friend, and we kind of, talking about something, and I said, we need to do this, and she's like, okay, and then a month later, I said, are we doing this? And she's like, okay, I'm going to Cannes. So let's not do this in Bombay, you come to Cannes and you shoot it. This is a week before she's heading to Cannes.
Right.
So Cannes is Cannes Film Festival, I'm sure everybody knows. If you don't, guys, this is really shameful. so Can is where we shot with her. That is the first game we shot. It was an amazing experience. We followed her whole day, and she changed. She's a trooper. She just she's full of life, full of energy. And I don't want to bore you with the story of how I got there in 7 days, and how we put a team together, and how she got hair and makeup, and how we were a videographer in France when we had no clue who to hire. So it was all done in 7 days. But I have to say that it is only because there are people your age who have so much energy. So I had somebody in my team who had just joined, and my PRA wasn't even there. So she reports to me, she's not there, she's off for her leave. And so I got this girl reporting to me directly now, and I said, just find me all of these people in France. And she's like, okay. And like 2 days, she had booked everybody and everything. She's like, okay, this is amazing. Like, I should hire more young people. So I think that happened with Guni. And then that actually became a point of conversation. People suddenly were like, okay, and this is how you can go seamlessly from beginning to the end. The second one we did, which was quite a coup, was Zinataman.
Wow.
So Zinataman had suddenly taken to Instagram and just had this renaissance. And we were like, oh my god, she's just so phenomenal, like a thought. She's very Indian. We just happened to source something to her. And she sent back a compliment saying that this is the most comfortable thing I've ever worn. And we were just like, oh my god, let's ask about anything. Like this is our chance now and ever. We asked her, she said yes. So we shot with her in Goa over 2 days, and she was the most gracious thing. And I really, who has not seen that video, please go and see that ANP's YouTube. You have the one again. And then the third one, which is Anushka Shankar. So I think in all of this time, I think Anushka is just so happy. And she started wearing us for her concerts. So this was all organic. She started wearing us. And we were like, okay, maybe we should ask her for the next concert. So she was opening, she was doing this whole tour in Europe. And so we kind of just went to Paris for the opening show. And I shot with her in Paris and spent the whole day in the museum. And of course, there's the whole fun of everything goes wrong. So Paris was raining cats and dogs that day, and we got late, we didn't know how to shoot, we needed the sun, and just 5 minutes before we needed to start shooting, sun came out. So
wonderful.
Yeah. So what happened to the end of the game was that people saw the brand in such a different light. They realized that this is something that they can wear every day, or at least on days that are slightly special, but they can wear it through the day. They can be comfortable in it, they comfortably look good in it, and it's not necessary that you have embroidery on the garments to look good. So I find that it's global.
Absolutely.
So we shot around the world, and I think that itself also added to the level of connection. So you can, in one piece, if you're just making it from your core, you can touch so many different dimensions.
Exactly. Absolutely. And for those of you who want to look at the video, Art IQ is an anthology series that the brand has done, and those are the videos that are part of that series.
So AM to KM is a different series. Articulate
is a different series.
Articulate is with artists of different crafts.
Okay.
And that was done differently, but again, yes,
the same.
Something that people should keep quoting back to me.
Yeah.
And Articulate is, of course, a very special project. The 13 artists that we shot with small videos. But again, very online. So
yeah, I thought it was a great thought. So for a brand to talk about, people, like, you're talking about a user-generated content today, right? So it is something that is important, because regular clients, people want to see genuine people wear the garments in their everyday life, and then how they carry it, rather than a mannequin just sell it, or a hanger just sell it. So I think that's very important for us as customers. We want to see how it falls on a body form. And that works well in these videos, right?
So article basically came to me because at AM art for us is very important.
Okay.
So if you see our prints, etc., this is all art. This is all developed in-house. This is developed by artists in-house. This is basically directed, of course, by the design team or by Priyanka. And then the artist sketch and then they tweak and then everything is original. So nothing is that we have last my Panta, उसको काटा और हमने print बना लिया. So nothing at the end is that. Everything is from the game. And so that art we wanted to highlight is how much connect we have done.
Okay, fantastic. So, even when we are talking about Anirudh, about the rebranding exercise that you did, there seems to be a consistency in the brand image and in the storytelling. And that is what takes us over the years for the brand. And when you talk about the brand starting in 2002, seems relevant because those touch points are there. So what are these brand pillars that you have held tight during this entire process of rebranding?
So I think, like I said, during the rebrand, we completely threw out the handbook that we had.
Yeah.
Nothing from the past affected us at all. We completely started afresh, and I think the brand code got built afresh. So whether it was elegance, elegance is something that is very dear to us. It's not a word which is very often used these days. But I think PNA is not funny with the and all that. But elegance is something which is so essential for everybody.
Yeah.
And so we kept elegance. We came up with effortlessness. We came up with quality as a value. So these are things that we don't compromise on.
Yeah.
We don't do the very fitted and revealing and where women are uncomfortable. Because it's a brand designed by a woman, a real woman. So it just, she knows that what is she comfortable with. So she designs what she knows. So if she's not comfortable with wearing X, she won't design that.
Right.
And she's a working woman. She's a mother. She's a wife. She's a public personality. So she keeps all of that in mind while designing for her woman, because all of these people have something, one of these things, almost. So I feel that those brand codes over the time have just remained intact because we don't know any other way.
Yeah.
So they're just so deeply ingrained in us that we're constantly just operating from there.
Yeah. So that consistency shows.
So that consistency just shows.
Yeah. Now I have a tough one for you. Oh. Well, I want to know as a
enjoying this conversation.
Are you guys enjoying this? Yes. So we are. Everybody is awake.
We can start off with the next part.
I think I made him a little nervous. That's what is happening.
I'm not nervous. I just want to make sure that you are enjoying it.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to know, as a co-founder, how do you strike the balance? And you are the management guy. So, it's not Priyanka here, I'm asking. So, how do you strike the balance between creative experimentation and commercial viability? So, we are talking about doing exclusivity and at the same time accessibility.
So, two very good questions. And oh my God, we for years, this is the debate that rages across all the time. The commercial is at thing, but so creative is at and because when the creative team is at its peak, they are not thinking so much about the commercials. But I would like to give credit to Priyanka in this, frankly, because somehow, I don't know how, but she is very conscious of the commerciality of the world.
Wow.
So her goal is also such a way that it's simple. So it's not something that's so crazy that that you just won't understand. That there's no viability to it.
Right.
So even though she might want to use I know something worth 5,000 rupees a meter. But because she understands that game can only operate in a certain price, right? There is a flexibility, but there is still a ceiling to what you can do. Because otherwise, you can't have something at 5 lakhs in the same store and at 20,000 in the same store. It's a little odd. People do it, but I think that it's a little odd.
Right.
So we try and maintain, at least for our customers, a certain price band. And so somewhere I feel like that for sure it is a credit because she's not one of those creative directors who just don't know what the hell is happening. Like they're just designing what they're designing and then they give it to the team to sell it.
Right.
So she's not that. She's very concerned about what it means for her customer. Will they be able to buy this? Will they actually be able to afford this? So she needs to make sure, in her head she always makes sure. In terms of everybody else, my suggestion or my advice would be that when all of you start your brands, the first and the most important thing is to find your expression. If you have found your expression, post that we can think about promotion. But if you don't, if you do it the other way around, then your brand has no soul.
Absolutely.
Your design has no soul. If you're going to think that I'll approach this from the streetwear national settle. So मैं streetwear brand बनाऊंगा and उसमें t-shirt का 3,000 की बिकती थी. अब वो 3,000 की t-shirt को बेचने के लिए मुझे क्या क्या डिजाइन करना पड़ेगा मैं वैसे करूँ. Right. So you might make commercial success. Yeah. But it might not be the next advantage. Okay. True. So you then have to be clear about your vision. From your vision will come the balance between creativity and commercial value. Absolutely. In Priyanka's case or in ASK's case also, I think we really very clear after the rebrand my vision came. Who do we want to be? Do we want to be, a Louis Vuitton or do we want to be an Armani or do we want to be somebody else? Yeah. We very quickly realized we don't want to be anything but anything. And we thought that हमारे को इतना आता है, हम ये बना सकते हैं, हम ये बेच सकते हैं और हम पैसे बेच सकते हैं. अब ये हम करेंगे and उसके बाद वो ऑडियंस हमें मिलेगी, we will cater to that. Now, with that clarity came that balance. Okay, this is what we need to keep and this is how we want to make it and this is how much creativity is okay. Right. Because sometimes too much creativity is also not okay. So we face all those. It's been a tall 20-year journey. So I know creative mind would always be like me by creativity. Yeah. आपने sketch बना दिया बस अब वो बन के तैयार हो गया नहीं बिक जाएगा. That's for sure and there is a market for it. Right. But you need to know who you are and who you are going to be. That will automatically balance out your emotions and your feelings.
Well spoken. And while we are talking about the customer, let's talk about how your customer has been very evolving. Like in your own words, you talk about your customer being someone who's very global, well-traveled, that is, very discerning. So with this customer that is totally evolving now, what are these few, customer behavior changes that have influenced your brand in the last 5 years? So I know the rebranding exercise happened. That is something we've just been speaking about. But what more has this changing customer brought to you? Or how do you think differently about them now?
The customer is very interesting. And you need to firstly love your customer. And secondly, know them.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't love your customer, then you're going to make stuff if they don't get you. That's fine. And if you don't know them, 100% you're not making stuff if they don't. So, the customer of the ANPM country is this smart, evolved, always evolving, discerning customer. Somebody in the workforce, they could be the Prime Minister of India and they could be the intern at all the companies. We have lawyers, we have doctors, we have judges, we have artists, we have movie stars, we have all of them. It's a gamut of people. Very recently we had this American woman walk in to the store, and she then connected with us, and we realized very quickly after that she was the chairman of LVMH, who is a government entire group, all 79. She was the chairman of North America for 3 years, and she fell in love with brand. We have a big market now. 50% of our sales comes from the Middle East, so we have Middle Eastern customers. Now, did we know that we have all of this in 2021 when we rebranded it? No. We had no plans to go to the Middle East. But in 2 short years, the Middle East came to us. And we started selling because we were like, oh, okay, somebody discovered us. One influencer came into Info, she went crazy about the brand. She started posting on her own. We didn't even know who she was. We realized after we started tagging us that, oh, somebody's posting it, and we looked at it. And she had 3.2 million followers in the Middle East.
Wow.
And just then we started getting traffic on our website, and we started getting some sales. And then we realized, oh, there's a market for us in the Middle East. Because, like, what people might think is conservative, or they might think it's a little, too elegant. The Middle East loves it. So, I mean, even Indians love it, but the Middle East also loves it. Now, an American also come in and loved it. And she has a European partner who then came 3 months later, and she loved it. So the thing is that the customer is out there.
Right.
Are you going to be able to sell to every single person? No.
Of course.
But there is so much abundance. If you are coming from your core, if you know what you are making is what you need to be making, and this is your expression, this is your design, this is truly who you are, the customer will find you. They relate with it. Even I find brands like that. I'm out there looking for brands every day. They're all on social media, they're all on Instagram. Some of them are already on Instagram. But we're always looking at what's touching our core. So, any brand that will speak from its core, which will tell its story clearly, which will articulate who they are, then we very quickly realize they're not for everybody. They're for some people. And those some people should find. Now, those some people are finding. That's on.
Fantastic. So they have stores in India, Middle East, and US.
So we have stores in India right now.
Yeah.
Middle East is a traditional market for us.
Okay.
It's pop-ups and run shows.
Mm-hmm.
But like we use them very aggressively. We have about 5 countries, 6 countries now that we're showing in. So from Saudi we have biggest market, so Saudi Arabia, and then very close second is Dubai, UAE, and Kuwait. I think they're tied for the second spot. And then we have Qatar, we're very recently showed in Oman, I think. And I think we're exploring Bahrain. Sorry, we showed in Bahrain.
Fantastic. Congratulations there. That's really good. Moving on to the fast growing e-commerce, digital retail, and cannot forget quick commerce. That is totally in the talks, and everybody in retail is trying to look at how they can get a piece of that wallet. How has AMPM adopted to the strategy to stay relevant and to stay competitive?
So, funnily enough, AMPM, we might have been behind the few curves maybe, but like when it came to online retail, like I said, we were always focused on business. We were one of the first brands to have their own e-commerce website.
Oh.
Not a website, an e-commerce website where you can actually go and buy. We launched that way back in 2014, and it was like, what was it doing? But we launched it because we realized that this is the future. And we bet on it heavily. We bet on it with money, with time, with resource, all of that. Was it a success on day one? No, because it takes time for any new technology. Like we have AI, people are talking about it. It just had a summit. It was the largest in the world. All of that. It's an amazing thing. I love ChatGPT and navigate. But these are like so old ChatGPT like on that form. But AI is like on its island, right? Like similarly, e-commerce was back then in the world. And I think I'm so glad that we did that because we not only made all the mistakes in those years, because you do not become a digital or a digitally successful brand without making all the mistakes. So now, of course, people are able to fast track that process. Maybe now it takes 1 year or 1.5 years to learn it. Some people get it very quickly. But it took us time to find the right fit for us. And I think post the rebrand, we suddenly catapulted our digital business also. To the point that today, 1/3 of our sales comes online.
Wow.
Which is big for any designer brand, which the average price point is at 35,000. So I'm actually quite proud of our online business. And a lot of that business is actually on our website. So we're not very present on too many of these other online portals which are mixed. So that all the more makes it more profitable. It also makes it more controlled in the way that the environment where the customer is shopping from. And also we don't discount that much. So people on other websites they kind of we don't like that. We don't, as a brand code, we're not a discount brand. So we actually don't give discounts in the entire year. It's for 2 weeks. That's it. 1 week in January, 1 week in January.
Yeah.
But digital is something that you cannot ignore. You should not ignore. It's a great tool. A person, I mean, I remember when we started getting orders from Maldives. And I was like, how does this person in Maldives know? And then we had something from Sweden, we had something from Fiji. We had 26 countries suddenly in 2014, and we were a Delhi brand. And I was like, okay, what's going on? So automatically the world opens up when you're digitally happy. Even today we get orders from Mexico, we get orders from Chile, and I don't know who customers are, but they're finding us and they're buying. And it's amazing because you come to know very quickly where your markets are. You can then plan your physical retail accordingly, you can plan your pop-ups accordingly, you can plan your next market accordingly. Middle East was an example like I told you, they started shopping online, they didn't come to my store. This was because they saw an influencer they wanted to buy it. So digital is a great medium to use and you should. It's a real arsenal. It's a real weapon in your arsenal which can handle well. It can. I have friends who have maybe even smaller brands and they are also wanting to, but you need to know what the strategy for you should be at what stage of the company it should be. So I keep suggesting to them that if you're going online, you should do a pull strategy rather than a push strategy right now. Because for push, you need to put in more money. And if you have the money, great. Because you will lose a lot of money till the time when you're able to calibrate to the right point.
Right.
But if you're able to pull, then it's much better. So for a smaller brand, that's much easier to do.
Right.
So different strategies for different brands, different stages of their career. And so hence branding and strategy actually are very nuanced, it's very personalized. So like I said, for Anjumodi it's really completely different. Like for Anjumodi I would even have an online store given to me. I don't work with the brand anymore, with the branding and so on. But for an Anjumodi I wouldn't do an online store because she's selling, or she should be selling at a price point somewhere between 10 lakhs and 20 lakhs. Now that's something that you can't be buying online. We shouldn't be because there's an experience behind it that we need to give, which can only be done physically.
Absolutely. So the game plan is changing there. You did adopt to e-commerce well. But whenever I look at luxury, I always wonder that where are we headed? And while quick commerce seems sort of like a far thing, I always say never on that because maybe the better answer is just say not yet. So, moving ahead, in your view, what is something truly luxurious when you look at a brand? Is it craft? Is it scarcity? Or narrative? Or maybe just service? Or altogether something different? What would you coin it as?
So I think we've been we can just pick one thing. But if I was to pick one thing, and I was to say that this for me, very personal, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's luxuries are different. Somebody could think quality is luxury, somebody would think embroidery is luxury, and they do. So customer shop like that. Personally, for me, luxury is a well-articulated brand, a well-articulated story. A story told from somebody's real core, something that's truly original, obviously. And for me, that is luxury. There is something can do that. Somebody come up with something so beautiful and so flavorful. That is just there. That is not real. And that is so just well articulated by them. For me, that is luxury. For well articulated, when I'm saying it's not just text. It's not just a picture. Well articulated means that you made your score like that. You hire people who are on brand to you.
Right.
That your social media, your storytelling on that social media, your website, your conversation, your PR, your publicity, everything is told from that viewpoint because you don't know anything. That is for me to luxury because somebody out there has then spent hours and hours and hours making sure that it is this way. It is really easy to go out and give an interview to any magazine. I don't know, most of you might not find an interview from us for many years because sometimes we only go out and give an interview when we think it is the right fit. So when we rebranded, we interviewed with only maybe 8 publications. Otherwise, we decided that we will only do with architecture digest before with L. We decided. Because it was so strategically decided that these are the places that will be able to tell our story properly. We have that experience that we need to have. So if that much thought was given to something, anything, it could be $5. For me, even still, if it's done well, if it's told well, that is luxury. For me, Indigo was luxury.
Yeah.
Because I love the fact that they had something written for me on the land, that they had this magic hookah with the whole story behind it. And I was amazed. People used to say, oh, but it is. For me, it was actually so. So, yeah.
Anirudh, I'd like to know that, what is the biggest blockage or the perception in positioning an Indian luxury brand into a global platform did you face?
So, I would say that we made it as a global brand. So, we're still facing some stuff. Some people have started getting there. So, there's some actually getting there. In India. But globally, is he a global brand yet? No. That's just a global brand. I was in the US in August and I met many, by the way, invited by the same lady, ex-chairman of Engagement. So she invited me to come to the US and actually see that we do have a market in the US also, and how to approach it. And so she gave us 10 days of her time, which was amazing.
Wow.
To just have us meet like a variety of people, and we were all CEOs and very highly paid women in various parts of America. And very quickly I realized that they don't really know too many Indian brands or really none. Some of them who are pretty keen in fashion or maybe are in New York, with others now in New York, new apartment. I'm not taking away from any of the successes. What he's done is, of course, the first of so many Indian brands I hope are able to do. But has any Indian brand actually become global? You know, somebody actually asked me this question and I was a little taken aback because they said not only design, not only the fashion, has any Indian brand at all become global?
Yeah.
If any of you know a name, please tell me. Because I actually thought about it. I thought other startups may be global, other builders may be global, Israelites may be global. So I know that the Ambanis became a global brand because of their wedding. But other than that, I think there's no true blue Indian brand which become global yet. Which is quite something to think about. Will there never be one? 100% there will be. There will be many. I think the next century or five belong to India. But I think we are all pushing, and the challenge that I feel that Indian brands have is that we've still not, and I'm saying it with all the respect, we've still not managed to tell our story well.
Yeah.
I don't think the problem is money or the problem is access or the problem is anything.
Yeah.
Because I feel that all is available. Everybody can take a flight to the US, the biggest luxury of the world, or to Europe. We can collaborate with those people. We have trade deals now. EU, we have amazing trade deals. The US is making. So I don't think access is the problem. I don't think exposure is the problem because of social media. I think exposure that we have. We all understand what New York looks like. We all understand what a European woman looks like. I think it's just purely storytelling. I think that's what's holding us back. That is what the power of the brand is. That when I was spending time with this lady, Pauline Brown, her name is Pauline Brown, and she now consulted to brands on brand. And the way she looked at AMPM and what she thought we should be saying when we come to the US, because every market is different. Every geography and demographic has a different requirement. What you might want to hear from me is not what the American woman wants to hear from me.
Right.
But what we definitely want to hear from you is the truth, is honest truth. But how do we flavor that for them so that it's relatable for them is up to us. That piece, I don't think we can do. And that's the piece that at least I'm very excited to pitch for Indian. So we're doing that in the Middle East. It's a very young business for us in the Middle East. It's 3 years old in the Middle East. So we're now figuring out what is it that we can do, how we can do it, what we can say, who do we say it to, where do we say it in the Middle East. And it's happening organically, the business has not organically. Because there's at least it's a gold mine. And the US is 10 times that.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest challenge is storytelling. The Americans are
amazing
at marketing and storytelling. Totally looking in a way. But I feel that Indians need just actually
like it
quickly.
Yes. No, and truly so, because we have the legacy. So we have the heritage, but we have not been able to weave it through.
Yeah, all the raw material. I think
I truly agree.
We have a shocking depth of raw material. A weight also is shocking and depth also is shocking. Yeah. It's just that our muscle building for any new thing, because we've not, I mean, we all know about colonialism and so our muscles didn't get built.
Yeah.
To become a global brand.
Yeah.
And now we're building that muscle. We built it between India and India to study. So I think that muscle building is required. You will
yes. Absolutely. And on that note, what do you think you would have done differently, or Priyanka, or Ankur? How would you guys have envisioned AMPM if it was to start today? Like, how could this have been any different?
But I give you the honest answer. We also it's not something you are giving the honest answer. Guys, please try and just hear out anything. So one of the key reasons why, because it's the most important part of being everything else is, everybody has their own journey. Some of you will have a rank, some of you won't, some of you work, some people, some of you might choose a different path going forward. So all that's everybody's individuality. So you will mind is great, but it's not going to be insanely important for your lives. But this part is going to be important if you can grasp that. If I was starting AMPM today, there is this path that I'm on, where I got introduced, they said, this conscious in this path
Yeah.
and this inner reflection. So this path is actually offered by an organization, and they're called SKC, and they have beautiful programs for people of all ages. Especially for young adults, I feel that it is absolutely imperative that you at least do one of their programs. They have Essentials of Success, it's called EOS. It's a 3-day program, 2 days together and then 1 day later. So it's very easy to do. But what happens in these programs, what is offered by this organization is not only structure of or some kind of format to success. It's not format to success, but it is something much more essential. So they offer a sadhana. It's a very small sadhana, so it's not suddenly Rishi when jogging. It's just like a 10-minute thing that you can do every day. It's like brushing your teeth. Right? So you wake up, you freshen up, you just do a 10-minute sadhana, and that actually propels you, because what happens with this is that you are able to completely control your emotions, and to that you are responsible for reaction to it.
Wow.
When I say control, it doesn't mean suppress. It actually means release. So for example, you've woken up, but you just don't know what to do. You've woken up, you're feeling lazy. You've woken up, you want to procrastinate something. You've woken up, you feel like just triggered. And I use the word So, but imagine if you had a tool which requires nothing. ना आपको नहाने की जरूरत है, ना आपको किसी से बोलने की जरूरत है, ना आपको किसी के सामने बैठने की जरूरत है, ना मंदिर जाने की जरूरत है. You can literally go to the bathroom, you can do it in your car, not while driving. But so anywhere, just 10 minutes. But if you do it for 10 minutes, you're able to release all of that. And what happens with that is that you're able to create a space from where you can respond and not react. तो क्या होता है कि हम रोड पे लिखते हैं गाड़ी चला रहे गाड़ी ठोकती अब हम जब निकलते हैं we are already like did I want to kill this person right and how dare you but imagine if you're able to in that split second if you're so still if you're so centered and you're able to ground that anger that's coming in the moment from when you got hit to when you got out of the car you already grounded that anger and you created that space in your mind. And imagine if you responded by asking, are you okay? Because nobody wants to come and hit you.
Right.
That person also might be having a bad day, or might be that this mind or her mind or someone else. And they just happen to do this. It's a mistake.
Right.
Now imagine a conversation between you and that person if you were angry and triggered, versus if you were actually empathetic and centered. Different.
Yeah.
We've all heard of road rage incidents. We've all heard somebody got stabbed, somebody got shot, somebody got beaten up. The person who got hit got beaten up, stabbed, right? So we've all heard of those incidents. And but imagine if something like this happened to the person, like and he feels so empathized that they're like, no, I'll send the money. I'm really sorry. Because you actually responded to somebody else's trauma. So if I was to start reading here today, the first thing I would do is do all of these programs. Not at least one or two of them. I would start from the core, finding my core. I would start from finding our true expression, which we did in 2020 and not in 2002. So it was an 18-year journey.
Right.
So please trust me, and I'm telling you that it wouldn't have happened had we not done this. This is what I just told you. With SAP. It's not come from some sudden lightning strike that आज 2030 हो गया तो हम 18 years के बाद it's not none of that. It's just us being able to center ourselves, us being able to understand ourselves better, and you will.
Right.
And from that understanding, if we had started agency, it would have grown multifold. I'll just give you some numbers. The 2020, so because you can't find numbers and you want to see results, and that's when you trust the process. In 2019, we had 15 stores and we were at say X turnover. In 2020, when we shut 15 stores and we just kept 3, we came to X divided by 3.
Right.
Because for that moment we didn't have, we weren't open only. In 2021, we opened these 3 stores only. We kept those 3 stores, we just worked on these 3 stores, but we changed everything about the brand. In 1 year, we had doubled. The next year, we had doubled from there, so it was compounding. We were in stock market, understand compounding. And then the third year, we doubled from there. So in 3 short years, we actually were double of what we were in 18 years. So you're understanding the difference.
Right.
Now, if I tell you that this happened because we were just better businessmen in 2021 than we were in 2019, we were just better at controlling our emotions, and we were just better with clarity, and we were better with responding to situations that were definitely going on. They will keep coming. So situations will never stop. I'm sure some of you have been through already a situation today when you woke up. कोई लेट हो गया, कोई उठ नहीं पाया, किसी सिचुएशनशिप चल रही थी, so उसमें दिमाग चला गया. So that will always happen. But imagine if you're able to not be affected by that. Your productivity is not impacted by that. You're able to control that yourself. How empowered you will be. And imagine you were doing this while starting your journey. I cannot tell you, because you guys are almost stuck. But if you did, I mean, NPM or anybody else will just look like this one wayward dream, and you'll be so far ahead of any of us. So I would do that.
Thank you, Anirudh. I thank you for sharing such a personal and transformative insight in your life. This is very special. And I think we all need to take time and look inward, which is what you're talking about. So thank you very much. And at this, my prompt to open the stage for any student questions. So we give them a chance to also ask and find out more about what they've been holding for this long. Yes.
I just got asked to get that. I don't know how much time is it.
You were fantastic. So doing well. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll get one of the students to take the mic around so that becomes a little easier. Nisha, will you start?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Disha from the Leather Department, and thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for listening to me. I saw that you were on the alert one.
I feel being from the Leather Department itself is an opportunity to kind of see someone like you come and then talk about such things. And it was really eye-opening today. So my question is that what you as a brand see in young talent like while you have
Sorry, I missed that.
what you as a brand is looking for young talents like us, what do you look for while hiring?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question, and I think very relevant. Thank you for asking that. At ANPM, I can't talk about ANPM because I'm not sure what they're hiring for them. But at ANPM, we are looking for willingness. Now, willingness in everything. Willingness to learn, willingness to do, willingness to listen. Now, don't misconstrue me when I'm saying willingness is some kind of slavery. That's not who we are. Nobody's asking you to agree with everything that we're saying. Nobody's asking. We are actually one of those companies that I personally, so I love learning from youngsters because I feel that you guys have so much more perspective of the world than we do sometimes. And it keeps you connected to the roots. Right? So at ANPM at least, we are looking for just willing individuals. Because I feel that sometimes when you're willing, you are able to mold yourself much better. If you come to us like a rigid, solid block, कि मुझे तो यही आता है और मेरा तो इतना टैलेंट है, and मैं मतलब I'm going to just become the next Bottega Veneta. then it becomes very difficult for us to do anything. Right? Because you're already coming from I know better. But the truth is that right now you might not. There's an off chance. You might not know better. There are people in the real world that you're going to would know something that they can teach you. So I would suggest that even from day one till the last dying day, you should be willing to learn and willing to listen and willing to do. So if you come with that, just that much, be willing to be done with it. So if you just come willing, that is enough. Thank you for it.
Thank you so much. Hello sir, hello ma'am, good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for conducting the session. I'm sure we all learned a lot today through your experience. My name is Maloney, and my question to you is that where do you see the Indian luxury market in the next 10 years? And what do you think that us as emerging designers can do so that we can shape this narrative even forward?
So the Indian luxury market is in full steam growth right now. Right? Like we've been just nascent and this sort of starting, but now I see such lovely brands, kind of taking shape, kind of telling the story, discovering who they are, and just coming out with their own flavor. And I love that. Like I love discovering a brand which is just new and fresh and telling it their way. The one thing I don't like is a me too. That okay, I'm also this and I'm also that. No. So if the Indian luxury market can keep producing individuals like yourself who are coming in with that freshness of thought, with that core that you have reached. So my hope is that we are able to produce more people who can listen to themselves and not so much of the noise. It is important to listen outside, but it is more important to listen inside. And if you're able to just do that much, then I'm listening to me and I'm expressing that beautifully and as beautifully as can. Everybody has different talent, everybody has different potential, and there is just nothing but to accept that. But if you can just tell your story in your way, in as pure a form and with as much purity and mindfulness as you can, you go very, very far.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Madhurani and I'm from the BFS department. I have this question for you. For students of this Delhi, what do you think are the skills or mindset shifts that are required to have a future in the sustainable fashion sector?
Sustainable fashion, can you define that? What do you mean by sustainable?
So sustainability means not just having a better fashion business, like in terms of environment, how rapidly the fashion industry is growing, we have subjects about sustainable production and subjects like that. So what would you say, not just skills and mindsets that are required, but what shifts that are need to be learned so that we can have a sustainable fashion industry or even industry brands as such.
So I think she means more by like environmentally conscious and thinking beyond yourself and your needs.
No, I think environmental conscious and guessing even in career sustainability.
Yes,
what
absolutely.
kind of skills you need to have to get out there and sustain yourself. So one of the things that I see, am I correct? Is that the question? Yeah. So I think one of the things that I think is very evident and very obvious now is AI. For people to think that AI will kill creativity, I feel that we shouldn't look at it like that. I think AI is a great enabler, at least whatever little that I use of it or I understand of it, it's a great enabler coming forward. Because what we're labeling with, there are tasks which are trivial or which are low priority. I think that definitely can be delegated, for example, to AI. Right? So your productivity and your speed and your skill have more time to breathe. has more bandwidth. So I think that's something that nobody can ignore. None of you should. Even if, I mean, I don't know whether New Delhi is offering any of the programs, but if they are great, please focus on them. If they are not, then there are enough programs online that you can do yourself and upskill yourself. In terms of the scaling of career going forward or having more skill, I think in terms of skill, it's a very general question. So my suggestion would be that if you can look inward, if you can really truly get to what is it that you like, and get a more global perspective of it too, because the world is going towards being more global. Even product is becoming more global. So, I'm just off the top of my head giving an example, so that you can know here what I'm saying. I'm saying, for example, pattern making. Right? Now, in case you love patterning, but you feel that there are certain limitations to what you're learning, you can always look at very excellent or very specific studies in abroad, even in other programs, even at NIT. Maybe you can ask your professors to just sort of become a master in that pattern. So I think if you have one or two skills which you are very, very good at, that I think should definitely help you going forward. And I think people and brands out there are looking for people who have at least a specialty in something. It doesn't mean that you don't become a jack of all other things, but it definitely means that you can master one thing. So whether it is sketching, or whether it is pattern making, or whether it is embroidery, or whether it is design, printmaking, something of a little bit more intensively studied is always helpful. And you can do it by many ways. You can do it by internship. You have, I think, 3 or 4 years of internship. You can take it 6 months, and then you're able to choose those companies where you'd like to work. If you're more clear with your vision, you're more clear with what you want to do going forward or your skill set, then companies you can choose. And you can go to them and say that this is the reason I've come to you. People love the data, they love the clarity, and they'll be able to hire you much better.
So I have a follow-up question. I agree with the point that you said AI doesn't get creativity much. But is it necessarily considered scalable? I mean, AI is not.
See, frankly, we are just at the advent of AI. So what it will be, I don't know. I don't know. Even the people who are building it really know. I was listening to a few podcasts and all these reviews that people are giving at the AI summit recently. I think it's an evolving animal. I don't think any of us knew what the scale of digital e-commerce would be today in 2025 when it started in 2005 or 2002. Right? So we didn't know that there would be an Amazon or there would be the scale, that people would have achieved, whether it was Flipkart or whether it was, Walmart or whatever that, people who are still online present. I don't think anybody thought at that point what it would be. We didn't know for sure. I didn't know, I couldn't imagine that Instagram would become the mainstay for all brands, or at least luxury brands. Like if you don't have an Instagram presence, you're basically dead in the water. I couldn't have imagined that. I resisted for a long time. Resisted in the sense that I just can't understand where it's getting seriously. So we got left behind a little bit in that race, and I feel that I learned the lesson from there that whatever new technology is coming, if we can embrace it faster with less resistance, and we can find our ways of making it work for us. So if it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. But I feel that I don't think we have the answer to the end of how AI will finally land out. But I definitely feel that it would have disrupted the world enough, and that we should have paid attention to it now. I hope that answers the question other than having to one. Okay. There's a gentleman in the back. Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Dr. Birla. So my question is like how relevant do you think luxury fashion is for the younger professionals coming up? Like what is their perception about luxury fashion in the old clients to that, older clients to that? How is their perception different in terms of new designs or the material you get in? I think it's a very good question, and I think it's very different from where we were a few years back. I think if you go just 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I think there was just these 10 big brands which were considered luxury, and everybody wanted it. It was like a Me Too situation. Like, oh, I also want a Louis Vuitton bag, I also want a Birkin, or I also want, that shoe from Prada or whatever. But I find that today the customer is so much more aware of what they actually need because now everybody starting to express themselves. Now it's not about being uniform. What I'm wearing is not necessarily what she would like to wear. Even if we pick up Parkour or something today, I don't think every girl in the country would wear that. Earlier it used to be like that. In the US, it was shamefully and comically like that. Like if there was this one iconic design, everybody used that same jacket, same silhouette, same hairstyle, same everything. It was uniform. Earlier, this world was about uniformity and how do I fit in with that uniformity and how do I get included in that. Now, nobody wants to be included. Everybody wants to express what they feel, how they are. So today, some people are wearing sarees. I'm wearing this weird pant with some strings coming out. And sometimes, and this is a streetwear brand that I'm wearing, but I'm wearing it to a function here. Few years ago, I might have been wearing something a lot more formal or a lot different in my expression because time has changed. So I feel that today the customer is a lot more aware. They're a lot more ready to experiment. They're a lot more expressive. And I feel that luxury should provide, and that is the luxury. They have the luxury of choice. So if you are, designing from your core and you're presenting what is it that you feel is great, I think a lot of customers find certainly attracted to you. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. I'm Pallavi from Media Design. So I wanted to understand how does the brand stay true to its DNA while catering to the ever-changing consumer behavior in the current market?
So, like I said, do that program. No, that's the first one way. But I think the way to do it is definitely always walking inward, always reflection. It's sometimes also required to take a step back, sometimes to reflect, take the time. It's very important. So the fast pace that we live in, we're all living in Delhi, you understand the pace of the day. The pace is also an illusion. People are just on the time. So much activity to speak about. I think it is very important for creative people, especially, to just take a step back and see that okay, where am I at? What's going on? Even as a brand, it's very, very important. So we pause sometimes just to see more clearly ahead than what is it that's going on. So in the rush of just growing, just don't go for the heck of it. Right? And what will be important going forward and how you stay true to it is that if you can create real manifested physical material where you don't have to think it's not अब ये कोई नया जना है तो उसको कैसे समझाऊं कि मैं कौन हूँ. You have to create and articulate it well once and keep it. Will that never get evolved? It will. I'm just telling you that story. Like we evolved 20 years later. Just old face turned into something else. Some of those qualities that we had in earlier we kept. A lot of those qualities and visuals and communication and brand, whatever, we just threw out of the window. Because they were not relevant in 2020, what was relevant in 2007 or 2002. So you will have to evolve. But how to stay true to yourself is important. And that DNA you have to identify and then follow.
Thank you so much.
Hi, sir. Thank you so much for today. My name is Chandra. Like yourself, I am from the management department of UK. Okay, great. Yeah, so I might have used this question to ask. But when we were talking about very keen about how e-commerce is booming in the last couple of years or so, probably the last couple of decades. I think a couple of months back, I saw that Cartier started retailing its handbags and snags for Algebra, if I'm not mistaken. And you made like very nice point mentioning how purchase was anywhere between 8 to 20 lakhs should really be bought online because now the experience that is buying something like a Cartier sandal or something. So do you think that is a shift that will gradually get all of us planning to be moving towards? Or because like you said, when you go digital, just exponentially increase your risk towards so many other people. So do you think those margins are worth taking the risk, or would you rather maintain that exclusivity and stay true to the people?
Thank you for asking. That's a great question. So, what we need to understand is that not everything that Cartier does from that level of luxury that we can sell online. So, every brand has its own strategy and it's very nuanced. For example, Cartier has a strategy where they have like a product that will bring you in the first time. So, what they might be selling online is the stuff that will bring more customers in. You are say 20. Now Cartier wants you to please own one piece from them now, so that 20 years later you're already a Cartier customer and they can upsell to you. What they're truly holding in the bank walls, the walls of their store in New York. So the point is that is the entry point, entry level products that they are wanting to sell online. I'm not saying that they will not go out and aiming for the shock value, sell something at $100,000 or $200,000 online. But they might sell more product right now, like a watch, like a ring, which is in the price range of say $20,000 or $10,000, etc., which is still entry level things. So digitally, you have to, and what I spoke about was Anju. So that's again an apple and oranges situation. Anju, if you understand the brand, that's procure, which basically means most of the pieces that she's doing for bridal, etc., is one of a kind. Right? Now, for that level of customization, you can't do it online. If she's selling something off the rack, if she's selling 100 of those, whatever one lehenga she made, she's selling 100 of those, selling online is fine. Right? Because you're not customizing anything. So that's okay. Similarly to Cartier, stuff that they're wanting to sell to 100,000 customers is something that they can sell online. But if they're planning on selling some 5 pieces of their high jewelry to customers, they will never sell them online. They'll put so many barriers for you to even get to that high jewelry. You won't be able to see that high jewelry also, even if you went to their flagship store in New York. Why? Because it is held behind these walls where access is only given to people who are shocked of a certain value. So even with their elders working or their crazy bags that are 2 to 5 crores that you see probably on the Ambani women or you see on some celebrity, they're not available to everything. You can be in line for 20 years, they will not be available. They'll have a certain buy, there are certain spend, you have to certainly spend an X amount like and then you will get to that point where you'll be eligible to buy. So luxury will keep moving upwards, there will be that. But digitally, every brand will have to come up with their own strategy. So for Cartier, it works that okay, at this entry point level, I can sell this online to acquire new customers of tomorrow. And for some of their tomorrow customers, which have now become today, they are selling that to them physically. I hope I was able to make sense. Anything else you want from that question? I'm happy on. Yeah.
So sorry. But like you said, customers of tomorrow. So looking about a Cartier and what's its time. So I think, for example, when I get a Rolex Daytona, which if I don't want to get anywhere near the idea of buying a Rolex Daytona, then I'm not just looking at them, they're looking at me, they want to look at my portfolio, they want to get every single watch there, so that they want to get what company they work at, they want to look at what I offer, as somebody who's getting a Rolex Daytona. So do you think that, like you said, customers tomorrow are something like it's a paramount importance. But do you think that if a brand might be giving away its authenticity if everybody starts approaching that route, for example, like you said, Neelam Bani has version. I'm not saying that in video or in somewhere else might be possessing.
She has the one that only two are made of.
Yeah, I'm sure like all of us are quite far away. But another awareness product that people might be seeing, and I don't know, maybe I might be walking into Nagla or somewhere and I see, oh, there's an awareness over there. So maybe my mindset should be, oh, okay, what's this over here? I'm not in somewhere like this. Or if I'm in Boyo and I see awareness over there, I'm supposed to be happy. Then maybe my mindset changes. So do you think that's something that brands can take into account while making these changes? Or is that something that is working?
No, so brands definitely take everything into account. I mean, everything that you see for brands, whether it's their location, whether it's the product, whether it's the pricing, where it is available, everything is a strategy. None of these brands have become successes which have lasted 125 years just by waking up in the morning and saying they're all joining the basis. So it's not like that. Everything comes from a very strategic thought that okay, this is the product that I will sell online, this is the product that will come to Europe, this is the product that will go to India, this is the product that will sit on the neck of my brand ambassador. All of that is a strategy. All of it works and is envisioned and is thought through and then very what's that word? Very intentfully done.
Yeah, intentionally done.
So it's very intentional. So yeah, if you suddenly find that okay, there's an Hermes store in Lonavala or Khandala, right now, that's a problem. They will never do it.
Yeah.
Right? But 25 years later, when Lonavala or Khandala has the richest set of people, like they have in this town in Switzerland, which St. Moritz or Monaco or something where the per capita income runs in millions of euros, then so it just depends on where you are and what the geography is and what the strategy is and where it is today. Are there not more Louis Vuitton stores than there were 100 years ago? 100%. But how intentfully they have been opened.
Yeah.
So Louis Vuitton came to India 20 years back or 15 years back at Emporio. But Emporio today still is the only luxury mall that we have fully in Delhi. We just opened one now in Bombay, which is the Geo Plaza. It is barely open. Half of it is open, half is not open. But the luxury brands are there. They are not open in Bandra. You understand? So it's a lot done intentfully. And even going forward, it will be done intentfully. You will find that as more and more luxury customers grow, like for example, there was a third in China, like suddenly it's happening more money. But you see, when you go, there are more spaces that are made where only luxury shoppers go. So when you point out, I don't know how many stores Louis Vuitton had, but they were only in malls which were only luxury. They were not, China is the second largest market in the world, but they are not opening on every street, right? They'll open in the lowest place. They'll only sell from that website. They'll maybe only sell from their own, or if they're selling from somewhere else, they're only selling entry-level products. So it's very intense.
Good, thanks.
The last question, please.
My question was the AMPN being a heritage-driven luxury brand from India. What are the barriers that you face in the global market? Will they accept us and celebrate an Indian luxury brand as much as they do to a European or an Italian one?
So the barriers that we are facing are probably just of our own making. Like I said, that if we are unable to tell our story properly, that's a barrier. The other barrier, which is a more practical barrier, is the silhouette. So, for example, the silhouettes that the Americans are wearing, which I discovered again from way more deep insight, in August last year are different to the one that we are in. The American women average is 5'9" versus we are at 5'2" or 3. So there's a whole difference. They have a different body type, they have a different body type, they have different occasions in their day. The day is comprising of a different calendar than the women here. So those are barriers, but they are not barriers that will bar us making the transition. Brands are now very aware of those barriers. They are working on those barriers. They are working to break down those barriers. We, for example, are working right now, maybe a year or two, in the US market. But now we are looking at it a lot more intensely and a lot more in terms of scale. Because now we're not going there again for me too. We are not in a time office over. We're not doing that. We are going for that billions of dollars, that $35 billion market that America has for just luxury. So we are going for that, and at least we get to 300 billion or get to 400 billion. And when there are brands that are doing a white shirt in every corner of a department store. So if you go to a department store like Bloomingdale's or a Harrods or whatever, you will, or Saks Fifth Avenue, you will realize that there are racks given to different brands. Not everybody has a shopping mall. There are racks. Every one of those stores is doing a white shirt. Everything else. But they're doing the take on that white shirt. I saw them are just doing white shirt. Because that's what sells them. Now if I at AFPM in India put a white shirt, दूसरे बढ़ेंगे कि क्या white shirt भेज रहे हो आप 40,000 रुपये. Even though I have sourced best Italian cotton and this and that and even the best fluid and it's absolutely on the same par as Prada. But there is no customer here that's looking for a white shirt from me at 40,000. It just doesn't exist. The customer really isn't there. So we all have to see what barriers we face and that these are the kind of barriers that we are facing. But these are all barriers that we can break and we can pivot from. And in the global market, I feel that it's very interesting because we can tell our story so well there. They are so right now receptive. They are so primed for an India story. In the last 10 years, whatever the people and powers they have done, they have at least made India exciting for people. At least they want to know. People who have never traveled to India, they actually want to come and see what's this talk about? Like what's going on? Why is India suddenly such a big newsmaker? Right? So when they're trying to hear from us, we have to be available to them and we have to make sure that we are going and actually telling our story well. So one of the things that came out even when we were talking is that we have such a wealth. I mean, it's an astounding amount of wealth in terms of not only craft and art, but in story.
Yeah.
And we realized when we went there and we met women that we were just so enamored with this India story. If we are just able to talk to them about ancient India, it's such a story. They just don't know. They have been half figures, half facts, uninterested, whatever history that they've heard, and they don't even know. They just know that we were poor once and we were playing camels the other day, and God doesn't know if we even know what a brilliant history we had. So there is so much there. There is scope, and more scope.
Thank you so much.
Just one last.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Niyati. I'm from the fashion design department. It was such a treat to get an independent insight on the AFPM's journey. I wanted to ask, especially after the 2021 plan, what were some PR decisions that you took to make sure that your story was communicated efficiently?
Oh, I don't know. So, no, very wonderful question, and exactly, there was a lot of thought given behind how we did that. I'll give you an example where it becomes more understandable. So, how traditional PR used to work earlier was if a brand was going to launch, for example, like you were doing a 2.0 launch. If we were just going through from a very traditional lens, we were on a party, we were calling the an event, and we were calling me that word. And we talented. Nothing worked on the media, and we showed up, Radha, they all stayed all together. They meet us those 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, they party with us, have a drink every day. That's what would have happened. They would have got something, they would have written something, and you would have been opening house now again, study competition again. Even PPI is serving you, and even ANI is serving you, and even Reuters is serving you, and even more with them. So it would have been like that. But it would have just been coverage of the event. It would have not been my story anymore. So what we decided to do was that we didn't decide to have a launch party at all. We actually just went to the media one by one. And we chose who we are going to because we only wanted to go with people who we knew to have enough depth to be able to tell our story well. So we went to Architectural Digest for the store, we went to Vogue for the story, we called the students, we went to L, we went to so we went Mint, which is a largely newspaper edition. So we went to all these people, and we only very intentionally went to them and we said, "Come and meet us one on one." There is no event. There is just an appointment, and the appointment is with just us. So we invited everybody to Emporio. The first was because Emporio we realized has come out as such a powerful brand touch point that we didn't really have to invite them anywhere else to the others to invite them. Factories or dinner or they take you everywhere but where the brand is. So we called them to the store and we told our story in the store over 2 hours, over a coffee, over conversation, and there was no request for them to be writing anything for us. No money is paid. We just wanted to tell them that this is been our journey for 20 years and this is who we are going forward. Everybody was so amazed because they are all looking for juice and they are all looking for these very juicy stories, these crazy, courageous stories which probably are rare to come by. I'm saying it myself. So they wrote reams on us. We got pages after pages in these publications, and they all very beautifully told our story. I would like to thank every person who was written about ANK in that time. Because they really told us the story. They came up with questions later. They understood what it was. And then they were able to frame questions and send them back to us and say that, okay, now can we have an interview? Now can we actually speak to you? Because now they understood what the game was. Because we changed the game. We just completely threw the playbook outside and we just did something totally fresh. They experienced the store. So when we say, I can tell you guys right now that, आप इंडियन जाओगे आप मेडिटेट होगा. But what does that information hold for you till you don't experience it? Now, even for that, even now if you go and you actually experience the Buddha store, and you actually experience, if you are able to, I'm hoping that everybody is, but I'm saying if you're able to experience that meditativeness in the store, and then I tell you that we built it with intent, that it becomes meditative, that we built it with this vision, then you will connect with it more. Then you really want to write about it. Then you have questions which are really worth asking. Otherwise, if I hadn't told you all of this, what would you ask? Right? And you would understand what I'm saying. So what I'm saying now is connecting exactly to what I said maybe an hour back. Right? So now you understand what I'm saying. So PR was approached very differently just because we did something different. It needed a completely different strategy. Now it's just a one-on-one interaction that we were doing, and it was just very focused on one person understanding the storytelling. So I had to fit to 8 of these, but I'm so happy to do that because all 8 had different flavors. What an architectural stylist wanted to know from me wasn't what Mo wanted to know from me. What a Mint wanted to know from me because it's also part of everything, sometimes or whatever. So they needed to know different things. But I was able to tell the same story with different intent, with different perspective, with different flavors, and all of them wrote about it totally. So that's how we went.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
We've had a very insightful afternoon, a lot of information, a lot of things to digest, a lot of things to think about. And I hope the audience, whether here in the Delhi Hall or in all of our campuses, will be able to actually take back from this entire conversation, not just about the brand, but also about luxury branding by itself and about rebranding yourself in a way.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Anirudh.
So honored.
And
I'm
I'm
really
like,
happy for having me. Again, really sorry if you overshot. I don't know. I don't know you guys, but I hope none of you will come and stalk me later. But I'm most happy to have any of you get in touch and you can have a conversation.
before we wind up, of course, a constant reminder, if there are any photographs or anything that you're putting on your social media, please do tag, along with NIFT, please do tag AMBM as well, so that whatever information, whatever you're putting on your social media, they can see it as well. I'd now like to request our joint director to propose the vote of thanks, please.
नमस्कार अनिरुद्ध जी आपका पुनः अभिनंदन और हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार कि आपने हमारे इस आमंत्रण को स्वीकार और इस कार्यक्रम का मान बढ़ाया। इसके साथ साथ आपने हमारे विभिन्न प्रश्नों का जिस सहजता और सरलता से उत्तर दिया और उसके साथ साथ AMPM की कहानी बाजार से लेकर ब्रांडिंग, उसके अलावा चित्त, चेतना, स्थिरता का जिस ऊर्जा और चाव से जवाब दिया, उसके लिए हम आपका पूर्ण आभार व्यक्त करते हैं और ये वाकई में प्रशंसनीय है और हमें अपेक्षा है कि हमारे समस्त छात्रों के लिए बहुपयोगी साबित होगा। पूरा आपका आभार और आपका जो इसके साथ साथ इस तरह की मास्टर क्लास या कार्यक्रम को मूर्त रूप देने के लिए भी प्रेरणा स्रोत की जरूरत होती है। तो हम अपना आभार व्यक्त करना चाहेंगे अपनी महानिदेशक महोदया का कि उन्होंने हमें इस तरह के कार्यक्रम इसके साथ हमारे अन्य सहयोगियों जैसे परिसर के केंद्र परिसर समन्वय जैसे हम CEC कहते हैं, उन महोदय का भी बहुत बहुत आभार। सभी प्रश्नों के लिए जैस्मिन दीक्षित का बहुत बहुत आभार। इसके अलावा प्रोफेसर आभार और इस कार्यक्रम को निरंतर रूप से बहुत समय से कोऑर्डिनेट कर रही थी और हमारा सहयोग कर रही थी प्रोफेसर अनन्या जी, उनका भी हम बहुत आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। और कोई भी कार्यक्रम उसमें सम्मिलित सभी लोगों जाने की जिसे हम दर्शक कहें या श्रोता कहें, उनके बिना कभी पूर्ण नहीं हो सकता। तो आप सब यहाँ आए उपस्थित हुए और इस कार्यक्रम का आप सब लोगों ने सम्मान किया, चाहे आप यहाँ जुड़े हैं, इसके अलावा कई सारे परिसर हमसे ऑनलाइन माध्यम से जुड़े हैं, उन सब का भी हम हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। और इन कार्यक्रमों में बहुत सारे ऐसे कार्य होते हैं जिसमें हमारे कई प्रशासनिक कर्मचारी बिना किसी रोक टोक के और बिना किसी भाव के सहज ही हमारे साथ उस कार्यक्रम को सफल बनाने के लिए सम्मिलित हो जाते हैं। तो ऐसे सभी सहकर्मियों का, चाहे मैं उनका नाम नहीं ले पा रहा हूँ, समय थोड़ा सा याद करने में मुझे शायद समय लगे, तो कई लोग यहाँ बैठे हैं और कई लोग शायद यहाँ नहीं बैठे हैं, लेकिन हृदय के तार उनसे जुड़े हुए हैं। तो उन सब का भी बहुत बहुत आभार और सब लोगों के लिए आने वाला समय शुभ संध्या। जय हिंद।
Such a pleasure.
Ma'am, we just like to request you to present a small memento from our side.
आभार के बाद एक लास्ट मेरे से रुका नहीं रहा दीपक, आप जिस तरीके से आप बोल रहे थे बच्चे इतना आपको, आई होप आप लोग शेयर कर रहे थे, है ना? क्योंकि हम लोगों से इतनी अच्छी हिंदी नहीं बोली जाती है जितना भी दीपक बोलते हैं। हर बारी जब दीपक वोट ऑफ थैंक्स देते हैं तो मैं तो चुप हो जाती हूँ। दो चीजें जो शायद अनिरुद्ध अपने सेशन के दौरान भूल गए और मैं आप लोगों को एडिशनल कहना है you forgot telling about why the P is inverted in the logo. अगर आप लोग AMTM का लोगो देखेंगे पुराना और अभी वाला, it's a very interesting twist. There was a story there to which he forgot. And I think to second this, how many of you have actually seen the store that he was talking about? Emporio वाला. वही क्लास को तो लेके जाओ जैसे.
Absolutely.
They must see the store. That is part of learning. Actually, immersive experience. क्या होता है वो आपको स्टोर में पता लगेगा. So don't wait the institute and the faculty to take you. Emporio आप लोग सब खुद भी जा सकते हो, right? So please go see the store and then वहाँ से if you want to tell him anything or are very very keen to share and pass your feedback, you know the route. So you should definitely let me know whether you like it or not. And the third one, I go have a teacher only. If any one of you have any further questions and you really want to reach out to him, I think he wouldn't say no. Yes, he won't say no. I'm so happy he finished only 15 minutes beyond time. Thank you, Anirudh.
Okay.
Requesting the students to stay seated. We have one group photograph the way we normally do after, you remember the story of the LS. So we'll be doing that right now.
वो वाला कैमरा हटवाना पड़ेगा फोटोग्राफ के.
हाँ मैम.
Get everybody here, the whole group then come forward for